Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on the concept of looking at the signs of doing good in business or being good in a job or doing anything in the lines of having your consulting business or having your freelance independent work. So what could be the signs in astrology which indicate success in any specific field? So now friends, just because I have recently uploaded a video on the recent upcoming transit of the planet Mercury, so that only gave me this insight, because whenever we talk about Mercury, the only thing which comes to our mind is about being good in business. So what could be the peculiar signs of doing good in either of the things which I just mentioned? Because friends, you might be doing very good in business, you might be shuffling with different other side ventures or side hustle as well, but over here we will be focusing only on one specific entity in order to do good in the life. So now friends, to begin with, before we will jump into any specific combination, first thing which you have to understand is that your ascendant lord needs to be good. Now, whether you want to be a very successful entrepreneur, you want to be very good in any specific job or in any so given field, unless and until your ascendant lord is not in a strong dignity, trust me, you might end up remaining mediocre in any chosen field. Now friends, second thing is that, like, whenever we talk about all different kind of Raj Yoga, fortune awakening combinations or the wealth yoga, I always say that my personal yoga or the best conjunction or combination is of the Gaj Kesari yoga. Friends, moon is the significator of our mind, our thinking process. Like, through moon only we process and we perceive the world, and there couldn't be any other better influence than the influence of Jupiter on your natal moon. So same way friends, if Gaj Kesari yoga as per me is the best yoga which I will look forward to in any specific chart, for anything to do with the business or being with a job or anything pertaining to the matters of your action or your karma, if you will find any combination taking place between your ascendant lord and the 10th house lord, because friends, ascendant lord just tells about your life and 10th house lord tells about your actions. So there couldn't be a better combination if your life and your karma, your actions are aligned in a specific direction. Because if you will find this kind of yoga getting formed in any specific person's chart, you will definitely find a kind of a harmony, synchronicity, lot of support, and life circumstances will definitely support him in whichever direction that person is going to undertake in his life. Now friends, now we will start dividing all these three categories. So now friends, starting first with the job. So now that is very simple. You have to give prime importance or attention to the 6th house, because out of all the 12 houses, 6th house is the prime house of being good or being engaged in job or in service. Now friends, that also makes sense, because when we talk about job, there is a lot of a regularity being attached over there. Like, there is a fixed schedule, fixed job responsibilities, and there is a reporting format or pattern which you have to follow. Now these days we do have the ease of working from home, but still there is a sense of a boundaries pertaining to which you have to do your duties. So because of which, in astrology, out of all the 12 houses, 6th house plays a very pivotal role for all those people who might be engaged in job. Now friends, when we talk about having your independent business, like, let's talk only about from the business perspective. So 7th house is the house in our astrological chart which is the prime house of doing business. Now friends, when I say, or when we have to distinguish between a business or having a freelance independent work, so why business? I mean that you have a fixed capital, you have established a business, you have lot of inventory, you have staff to whom you pay salary, and that is how in a proper format you're operating your business. So those kind of nature of work or business or offering is something which we associate with the 7th house in our astrological chart. Now friends, when we talk about these days, all sort of like freelance people, like you could be an advisor, you could be a counselor, you could be a freelance writer, a freelance graphic designer, you could be an astrologer. So all those people are generally seen from the dignity of the 3rd house. So now friends, the summary over here is that in any case, no matter which business you want to pursue, which line of work you want to pursue, your first house lord need to be in a dignified strength. Second thing is that your 10th house is the actual house of your actions. You have taken birth to do what kind of job or actions, that we get to know from the 10th house. The beauty of the 10th house is that if you will find the 10th house to be in a good dignity, and over and above that, if you will find 10th house lord to be in a dignified state, that is going to be giving us this indication that you will rise high in the life, and the prospects of status, reputation, good image is going to be strong in your chosen craft. Now friends, the further category or subdivision is that definitely now if you will start finding any correlation or synchronicity between the first house and the 10th house with any of the three specific houses which I just mentioned. I mentioned that third house is the house of the freelance work, sixth house is the prime house of job, and seventh house is the prime house of business. Now friends, after the houses, now let's start understanding the planetary contribution towards these three different fields. So now friends, when we talk about from the perspective of doing good in business, so for that, Mercury is the chief significator of commerce, trade, of doing good in business. Trust me friends, Mercury actually bestows a lot of resourcefulness in someone's personality. I still remember lately I was watching this video, like on this talk show, on this like podcast, the host keep on inviting people from different background. So he recently invited this person who has been a self-made like millionaire. Now his business is doing very good. And when the host started asking him that why, like irrespective of coming from a service background, how come you got inclined towards business? And he said this thing that I always had these qualities of being very resourceful, trying to arrange things for people's need and making commission or making a margin or a cut out of that. So right from my adolescent days only I realized this thing that I can make money. I'm very good in resourcefulness, and that is how these are the qualities which he identified, he recognized within his own behavior, within his own personality. So this is something friends which is something which Mercury actually bestows in someone's personality. Trust me, that is the only thing. Mercury actually becomes very weak in all the water houses of emotions, because Mercury is a very practical, very rational planet. So definitely friends, if you will find, or if you have to see specifically from the perspective of doing good in business, you have to see the dignity of the Mercury. And over and above that friends, you have to also look at how many Dhan Yoga or the wealth yoga a person has in his natal chart. Because friends, definitely when we talk about business, so uncertainty is high, risk factor is high, but over and above that, the prospects of revenue, gains and profit is also very high. So now friends, if you will find in any ways that looking at a chart from the perspective of business, that person has got lot many Dhan yogas. Like for example, conjunction of Mercury and Venus, conjunction of Venus and Moon, or in any way Mars or Moon combination, Chandra Mangal yoga, and in any way if 11th house is also getting involved over there. So that is a very good indication that person can do very good in business. One more thing is that friends, like many times we have seen that also if you will find Mars to be in a very strong dignity, because many times what happen is that if you will take up the charts of all those people who have a very strong, very raw, unbridled energy of the Mars in their chart, so many times these people find it very difficult to work under someone or take orders from someone, and that slowly gradually drives them towards business. So definitely friends, more Dhan yoga, like wealth yoga in the chart with a dignity, strong dignity of the planet Mercury, and combination and influences coming in from the 7th house and 11th house can actually make someone very good in any sort of chosen business. Here friends, I'm just talking about the prime houses of the business. Now friends, when we talk about from the service sector perspective, so definitely here we can include working for the government as well. You might remain lucky in landing at a coveted like federal government job. You could become a IAS officer, you can become very good top bureaucrat, or anything to do with the government job. So now definitely friends, for that we have to give attention towards the 6th house. We have to give attention towards the planet Sun as well. And over and above that, if you will find any combination taking place, any sort of, like friends, here we talk about the Saraswati yoga more. The combination of knowledge, being very skilled, being very disciplined, and any influence, any combination taking place with the 10th house and the 6th house can be seen as a very good sign that you can do very good in a service sector. Now friends, the third is all the freelance people like me who are making freelance content on astrology, or all those YouTuber, influencer, bloggers, freelance writers. So now friends, in their cases you will definitely find a strong say coming in from their third house. Now third house, over and above that, if you will find Mercury to be in a strong dignity in these people's chart as well. Now friends, over and above that, if you will find that they are getting a strong support from their 10th house lord, and Saturn is also in a strong dignity, then definitely they can scale up their offering. Like when we talk about like all those even YouTubers as well, they keep on posting about that they are in need of more video editors, more copywriters, and they are all the time, all of their content, all of their videos are being funded, are being sponsored by different brands and all of that. So they started with their skill, they started working on a freelance platform, but they kept on scaling up their offering. So now they have actually made that freelance business model of theirs as a full-time business. So friends, for that, if you will find strong support coming in from the planet Saturn, so that can also give you success in all these freelance content work as well. Now friends, when we talk about all these freelance people, in their case as well, I would say that you have to give more attention towards the 11th house. Now friends, try to understand this thing. When we talk about the house of the gains, of the finances, of the income, second house in a way tells about the financial flow of the money. Second house moreover tells about the kind of money which you have saved, your assets, your accumulated income and the finances. But when we talk about the freelance people, where there is always a fluctuation going in your inflow of the money, and here we are also talking about supplementary income. So in those cases, for all the freelance people like me, like any YouTuber, any lawyer, any writer, in their case, apart from the 10th house, which is equally applicable for everyone, third house, 11th house also becomes very important, because 11th house is the house of supplementary income. This is also the house of sponsorship, popularity, followership. You keep on hearing all these YouTubers and content creators all the time saying this thing, please guys follow me, share my work. So because of which friends, 11th house becomes very important in all those scenarios. Now friends, I will try to combine everything, not jumble up, I will try to knit everything. So now friends, like honestly speaking, you will find it very easy to predict if you will straight away find that 10th house is making any combination with either of the houses which I just mentioned. So here I'm talking about from that perspective that you are a young audience of mine and you do not even know you are open towards any prospects or taking any route in the life. So I would say friends that you will be in a very win-win situation, that if your chart is giving a very clear indication that any combination, if your 10th house lord is making with either the third house or the 6th house or 7th house, that will be a clear indication. Now astrology, had it been that easy, then anyone could have been answering their queries from astrology. So it is many times not that simple. Then friends, in those circumstances, you have to go little bit deeper in the probing, in the analysis part. So over there friends, you have to include the divisional charts as well. So now friends, what I have seen in my research is that, so friends, all what you have to do is that in your main ascendant chart, you have to see the dignity of the 10th house lord and its placement in the D9 chart, that whatsoever planet is your 10th house lord in the D1 chart, in which zodiac sign that planet is placed in the D9 chart. So somehow, now here it hardly matters whether you are a freelance person, you are in service or you are in business, somehow your life's undertaking, all of your action, your karma might be hovering around the signification of that specific zodiac sign. Another approach and way to look at it friends is looking at the D10 chart as well. Now friends, all what you have to do is that you have to pick up the significator planet which encapsulates or which represents the field to which you belong. So like if I were to mention in my case that the work which I have been doing, like astrology, occult sciences, straight away comes in the purview of one planet, which is the planet Saturn. Now you could be working in the fields of entertainment business, then in your case Venus becomes a very important planet for you. Like if you have a restaurant of your own, you are in food business, you are in travel business, then moon becomes very important for you. So you have to see that whatsoever your occupation, your livelihood is, or your aspirations are, if you are on that verge of starting that business, so you have to see the placement or dignity of that planet in the D10 chart. That could be a very good indication. And lastly friends, like when we talk about the support, we talk about the kind of a valor, courage and the power, the potency of your actions. So for that, what you have to do is that you have to see your 10th house lord from the main ascendant chart. You have to see its placement in the D10 chart. That is going to give you this idea that how much impact your actions are going to exert in the society. So that is how friends, you have to do the whole analysis between these queries of whether you are more suited for a business or a job or any freelance work. And lastly friends, I would also say this thing, that this is one thing which if someone would have advised me long time back, trust me, it would have changed my life. So that is something which is, you have to see, if you will find that your 10th house lord is placed in, now listen to the houses, if you will find that your 10th house lord is placed in the 3rd house, 6th house or 8th house or the 9th house. So now friends, this is a kind of indication that there is definitely going to be uncertainty, unpredictability which will hover around your line of work. Because if your 10th house lord goes to the 3rd house, so it has gone like 6 places ahead of it. If it has gone to the 6th house, which could be a very good sign for service. But when we talk about 10th house lord to be going in the 8th house, again unpredictability, but because 10th house lord has gone to the 8th house, so it has gone 11 places ahead of it. And if the 10th house lord is placed in the 9th house, it is again 12 places ahead of it. So in these kind of scenarios, it is always advisable, the more skills you have, the better it is for you. Because friends, trust me, I have wasted so many time of my life. Like, okay, one thing is that my religious discipline and spiritual austerities have always remained intact. But like just because after completing my graduation, I dropped 1 year to prepare for the masters. And after masters, in between, a lot many times I have had those gaps in between, that I want to get into this profile or this brand, and I was just wasting time, losing out on months and everything. And had I known this thing before, had I learned astrology much in advance, and if I had known this thing that my 10th house lord is placed in the 8th house, I have to accept that in my line of work there is going to be uncertainty. So rather than being inclined for a fixed job, the more skills I'm gonna acquire, the more skills I'm going to learn, it is going to help me, benefit me better in long run. So had I learned all of these things or different skills, and I would have started doing that much from the beginning of my career, beginning of my academic foundation, it would have helped me in longer term. So these are the few things friends which I wanted to say. Trust me, you are going to be very lucky if you will find a unified or a single pointed indication coming in from your chart. But let's say for example, if you are finding it little bit haphazard, or 10th house lord making a different kind of combination, then include the D9 chart, the combination which I just mentioned. Look at in which zodiac sign your 10th house lord is placed in the D9 chart, and individually looking at two entities in the Dasamsa chart. First is the representing planet which represents your aspirations. Look at its placement in the D10 chart. Second thing is that your 10th house lord's placement from the main ascendant chart in the D10 chart, in the Dasamsa chart. That is definitely going to give you this hint, the kind of potency or power your actions, your karma is going to exert in the society. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyawad.